I'm Wayne Revell, and I guess we used to where we live, 1146 21,000 Road. But as a part of the community, I have been the chairman of the Farm Heritage Committee and the Farm History Society, SEK Farm History Society. And forgive me if I have some of this stuff a little bit incorrect. I'm not good at all the formality. But I brought with me a few of the members tonight, Chuck, Pam, Marvin, and Jerry Kufler. And we all came up here, and we could have brought more board members, but as I'm leaving the board, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, I was going to say that I probably need to submit my resignation at some time, and it hasn't formally been given to the city yet. And I think Marvin intends to do the same thing, so I don't know if that's after this or if we want to wait a little while. But the thing I want to ask the city about is that there's a fund that these people got together when we built the stone house. And on behalf of the community, we'd like to see that fund somehow earmarked for future use to repair and maintain that stone house, in the case that the board itself maybe was disbanded because the number of members isn't available anymore. I know that John at the chamber is trying to make sure that the event persists and trying to fill board vacancies as they come, but that may be harder to do in today's world than it sounds. So, you know, as a member, I feel fondly towards what we've done there. We've got about $30,000, I think, in that account, and you know, I'd like to see that somehow earmarked. And if it takes a person to be involved in the community from here forward, you know, as long as I was alive, I would volunteer to be involved with the city to, you know, somehow, if they needed a second signature or somebody just to say, yeah, that looks like what we intended to do with that fund. But I hate to see the fund just dissolve into some general fund or something where it isn't there anymore, and then the community lose that property because it's either not insured or not maintained. And certainly over time, since we put $60,000 or $70,000 in building it, we'd like to see the money continued for that. I don't have a problem if the account had a secondary purpose, in that if there was a board in particular and they wanted to keep, and they wanted to use it for building another building or something out there, that's fine. But if, in the case that there's not a board, I'd like to see somehow that we maintain that and the city oversee it and keep it for that purpose. Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Missed anything, guys?
Well stated, I understand.
Okay. So there's probably some legalities to it that maybe we want Ross to look into, and then I guess sometime you'll tell us.
Is there a precedence or example of something that's been done in the past that we can piggyback?
This funding is already in a separate fund that is earmarked, I believe it's called Stonehouse or Farm History. And, I mean, we can put something in place. I don't really know what we're gonna do as far as the board and the activities. We're gonna have to look at that part of it.
My main concern was that the fund wouldn't be viable if there wasn't a board, and that I'd like to see some action done. Do you want to say something?
Well, when Wayne first approached us and was going to come here, Debbie and I did some research, and it's important to note the vast majority of the money that's in that fund, like we said, it's like 30,100 something. The vast majority of that 26,000 plus was raised under the auspices of conditioning the stone house. So money raised since then has basically been a pass-through to make sure that the event ran smoothly, but the bulk of the money that's in that fund was raised for this purpose, to keep the stone house going. And the money had just been parked there, that's raised each year to make sure that the event goes on. So how the event changes and what the chamber is able to do with the event would be dependent on money raised that year. We'd make sure those funds don't mix, which should make this decision a little easier, if that helps clear things up. Anything else? Good.
I mean, I'm welcome, or I'm available if you have questions or if you have further concern about what I'm asking. I don't know if I need to come to another meeting or not, but you can let me know.
We would need, however many are resigning, we would need resignations.
Well,
So
I'm
we
not
can-
just certain that if, I guess my position remains that if it takes an active chairman to complete whatever's going on, I could wait for formal resignation until that it's completed, so Marvin and I probably both can stick it out until we get this completed, if it needs a board action to do it or something like that.
We'll need to pull the paperwork where the board was put together. And, I mean, as far as the funding, that's what the original use of the funding is for anyway.
But we
can
know
make
that now.
out.
How are we gonna know that 20 years from now? Is there have to?
It's in a separate fund, it's earmarked.
So we don't have to have a resolution or
We
something?
can, if everyone's more comfortable with it that way, if we just have a capital fund.
Yeah, you're essentially creating a capital improvement fund for the stone house that carries over from year to year. Every year you would create it, but, I mean, if you feel more comfortable with the resolution, that's not a problem.
I don't wanna make it harder than it needs to be, but I'd sure like to make it where it's known for.
Let us pull the paperwork and everything.
Yeah, personally, I'd hope to see something that was like a resolution that was acted on in the minutes of the city meeting here, so that it said something to the effect that the purpose of that fund would be from this day forward either to be used for farm heritage activities by the board, or in the event there's no board, that it would be used for repairs of that building